Hey, here's some food for thought. You're experiencing your future. Really? Here's some food for thought, a perspective. When you watch this video, you're experiencing the past. Because I already recorded this. So when you watch it, you're experiencing something that is in the past. But not necessarily. If I'm running at a higher speed rate than you are as the receiver of this transmission, then you're experiencing something that is in your future. Think about that. I represent the future, which proves the past event. That's how I knew as a child we already won this. That was my future self communicating to my present moment self what I experienced in now time, what already happened in the future. Wow. Really? Yeah. That's why I never worried about nothing. That's why fear is sort of silly. For me. For those of us that run big ass accelerator. Brrr. We love to crank up the accelerator to move through the universe at a very high rate of speed. Why is that? Because it's so exciting to experience. You realize that you got so many present moments in which you're experiencing what it is that you're projecting, that the images are moving so fast. It's like, whoa, infinite creative imagination, which is infinite experiences. And the energy that you're using to do it with is running so fast, my God. I got to catch up with myself. No, you're already yourself. So you're experiencing the eternity that your spirit is living in the light of a circle. That's why we used to say when we were children running down the street, you must have eyes in the back of your head. No, I'm a circle of light. I'm experiencing everything that is around me 360 degrees. That's protection. I'm aware of everything around me 360 degrees. Okay? That's a shield. That's a powerful magnetic shield. Okay, that helps prevent us from psychic attacks, demonic technology communication. Now, it's not like they don't bust through or have ways to communicate with me, because I get little thought form patterns from here and there, particularly being in certain places, right? So I know that when I go to certain places geographically that represent a now time unit of awareness, which is what I am in living spirit, then I'm experiencing the energy that is present at that particular geographical location. So, for example, here I am in Reno, Nevada. That is a geographical location. Okay, that has a GPS coordinate. Okay, so I realize that in this particular area, I believe that the last population checked, it was like, 450,000 batteries here, or units of awareness, units of consciousness. So, when your state of awareness is way up, and you realize the consciousnesses that are represented by everybody that is here, you realize that you're experiencing a lot of lower density consciousness here. Okay, so this isn't for somebody like me or those that are, how do I put it, running a higher speed wave of communication. This is not our preferred, what we call in biology, if you will, your energy niche. Okay, this is not my energy niche. Even though I can wake up in the morning and see the sun, say, thank you very much for all that energy, girl. Yeah, I love you too. So we go into our heart, we send her love back. Thank you for your energy. That's an energy service provider. Just like the girl on the planet is an energy service provider. Okay? So this is where you get into data streams, just like when the male seed, right? I was thinking about this a few minutes ago. So you have, for example, a particular male who his seed is represented by data. So we can measure the data. So when you measure the data, that essentially is the evolution or the graduation of the vibration that is represented by the sum of all that data that is stored in that seed. Okay, so for example, when a female is ready to be inseminated, she's got a laboratory. That's called the female mitochondria. Do you not think that the creative intelligence of the cosmos does not want to produce another one of those? A big sun? A powerful spirit that's in this classroom? Okay, that we can learn from? That's a powerful energy service provider. That's based on data, isn't it? Yes. So, if you're a female and you want to reproduce a powerful energy service provider in spirit, then that means that you want to run on the best data that is available in your laboratory, which means you don't want data that is coming into the seed, okay, into your laboratory, okay, because that's not the data that you want a particular soul who's coming in through your heart chakra, who's going to jump into the physical holographic body that is based on the data that is in your library as a female, from which you were gathering data from that male in which to put into that laboratory. So if you wanted to reproduce something higher in frequency vibration to become a energy service provider someday, so that soul has the best opportunity to learn through the speed of its frequency and the rate at which it's learning to become what that is, you begin to understand why these classrooms were set up the way that they are. Why it is that she created the seed that she did. Okay, that allows the beings that are here to breed and pick up what? Source code. So from those experiences, including the higher frequency energy that comes from that Merkaba, will allow the seed, the data, represented by, in this case, my avatar, to experience the higher frequency energy. So when you're learning to attract more light and you're going faster, what happens? The experiences through which you're experiencing who we are is running at a very high rate of speed. And that allows us, essentially, to express ourselves freely without any electrical resistance at this level of creation, in a time clock-driven DNA timeline ascension, which means all the events that are sequenced in such a way that we are essentially experiencing timeline zero from each event to the next, from one experience to the next. So imagine when we're all doing that together, that means that the frequency, it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. Everywhere you're going, you're realizing that the energy and the frequency is going up because you realize that you're making a differential equation between the energy that you're experiencing that is lower consciousness compared to the consciousness that you are that is at a higher speed because you're aware of more data, which is more information, which is higher energy, which means more of that data, which represents more of that light in which all that data and those experiences are held, which are out there in the cosmos, which are infinite because those are infinite experiences. So one of the ways in which I describe this, for example, is if I write a book, okay, when it's done, that's the past. That book sits on the shelf, okay? So then you could date stamp, or I could date stamp the book. So you know that all the information represents the data, which represents the experiences. So the experiences are represented what I'm experiencing as the writer or the author of that story. So the speed at which I'm experiencing who I am, which represents my consciousness, okay, is represented by the words and the images that are in that book. So now you come along 100 years later and you read that book. You are experiencing the state of consciousness of the being who wrote the book. Now you're in the time in which you are essentially experiencing what is in that information that represents the consciousness of the being that wrote that book. So your consciousness is using your consciousness to experience the consciousness of what is in that story. So if that story, when you read it, becomes a powerful magnet in which you can't put it down because you can't wait to experience what's going to happen next. You're not aware of anything else around you other than experiencing the consciousness of the author of that story. So imagine that the frequency at which you're experiencing it is a match in waveform communication between your state of consciousness and the consciousness of the being that wrote the story that lives in eternity. Now you're in a timeless state. Those are the stories that I write. So when I go into a library, I want to be able to read a book that captures my spirit, captures a timeless state. Now I'm living in that reality. I'm experiencing the author of the story. So we measure that through speed, the speed at which I'm experiencing the story that is written by the being who is experiencing the waveform speed of that experiencer. That's an experiencer. The experiencer is writing the experience as it's happening in real time, their time, which is their speed, their clock, unless they run on no clock. I'll leave that for everyone to think about for the day or forever. In living spirit, what love is. Have a great day. That's where we're headed.